I know it's been a minute. It's been a minute, but today we're gonna be reading Atomic Habits, a chapter of Atomic Habits, and we're gonna give a motivational speak like always. It's been a minute, but I got to do it. Come on, man. And beforehand, this is recorded on the 1st of July. It may come out on the 2nd of July, but it's recorded on the 1st of July. Without further ado, let's start, man. Bro, where is it? Wait a minute, man. Yes, like that, bro. It's like that. Pause it if you need to. It's like that. Atomic Habits, an easy way. Atomic Habits, an easy and proven way to build good habits and break bad ones. Atomic, an extremely small amount of a thing. The single irrefutable. Wait. Let's see. Yeah. Irreducible, an extremely small amount of a thing. The single irreducible unit of a large system. The source of immense energy or power. So that's what atomic means. Habit, a routine or practice performed regularly, an automatic response to a specific situation. Yeah, that's what habit means. First, first is the introduction. So my story, then the fundamentals, why tiny changes make a big difference. That's on page 13. So we're gonna stop on page 13. Introduction, my story. On the final day of my sophomore year of high school, I was hit in the face with a baseball bat as my classmate took a full swing. The bat slipped out of his hands and came flying toward me. Before striking me directly between the eyes, I have no memory of the moment of impact. The bat smashed into my face with such force that it crushed my nose into a distorted U shape. The collision sent the soft tissue of my brain slamming to the inside of my skull. Immediately, a wave of swelling surged throughout my head. In a fraction of a second, I had a broken nose, multiple skull fractures, and two shattered eye sockets. When I opened my eyes, I saw people staring at me and running over to help. I looked down and noticed spots of red on my clothes. One of my classmates took the shirt off his back and One of my classmates took the shirt off his back and handed it to me. I used it to block the stream of blood rushing from my broken nose. Shocked and confused, I was unaware of how seriously I had been injured. My teacher looped his arm around my shoulder and we began the long walk through the nurse's office, across the field, down the hill, and back into school. Random hands touched my insides, holding the upright. We took our time and walked slowly. Nobody real, real, realized that every minute mattered. When we arrived at the nurse's office, she asked me a series of questions. What year is it? 1998, I answered. It was actually 2002. Who is the president of the United States? Bill Clinton, I said. The correct answer was George W. Bush. What is your mother? What is your mom's name? I stalled then. I stalled. 10 seconds passed. Pretty, I said casually, ignoring the fact that it had taken me 10 seconds to remember my own mother's name. That is the last question I remember. My body was unable to handle the rapid swelling in my brain, and I lost consciousness before the ambulance arrived. Minutes later, I was carried out of school and taken to the local hospital. Shortly after arriving, my body began shutting down. I struggled with basic functions like swallowing and breathing. I had my first seizure of the day. Then I stopped breathing entirely as the doctors hurried to supply me with oxygen. They also decided the local hospital was unequipped to handle the situation and ordered a helicopter to fly me to a larger hospital in Connecticut. 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 How do you pronounce it? Connecticut. Let's see.
Cincinnati.
I was even saying it wrong. Cincinnati. So they flew him into a larger hospital in Cincinnati. I was rolled out of the emergency room doors and towards two. I was rolled out of the emergency room doors and toward the helicopter helipad across the street. The stretcher rattled on a bumpy sidewalk as one nurse pushed me along with pushed me along while another bumped each breath into me by hand. My mother, who had arrived at the hospital a few moments before, climbed into the hospital. Come on, man, pattern. Climbed into the helicopter beside me. I remained unconscious and unable to breathe on my own as she held my hand during the flight. Need to slow down, man. Need to slow down. While my mother rode with me in the helicopter, my father went home to check on my brother and sister and break the news to them. He, he choked back tears as he explained to my sister that he would miss her eighth grade, eighth grade graduation ceremony that night. After passing my siblings off to family and friends, he drove to Cincinnati to meet my mother. It's true, it's different. Whoever knows how the American system works, the school system, drop it down in the comments how it works. Cause what's eighth grade? Cause I think it's year 8, but I'm not sure. Drop it down in the comments. When my when my mom and I landed on the roof of the hospital, a team of nearly 20 doctors and nurses sprinted onto the helipad and wheeled me into the trauma unit. By this time, the swelling in my brain had become so severe that I was having repeated post-traumatic seizures. My broken bones needed to be fixed, but I was in no condition to undergo surgery. After yet another surgery, after yet another seizure, my third of the day, I was put into a medically induced coma and placed on a ventilator. My parents were no strangers to this hospital. Wait, before we carry on, what's a ventilator? What's a ventilator? Yeah, ventilator. An appliance or amplitude temperature. Wait, a life support machine that delivers breathable air into a life support machine that delivers breathable air into and out of the lungs. I've seen this in movies plenty of times. I just didn't know it was called a ventilator. Yo, that must have been a scary experience, man. I don't even wish that was my worst enemy. Like, I don't even have enemies, but if I had, like, cause that's some scary stuff, man. My parents were no strangers to this hospital. 10 years earlier, they had entered the same building on the ground floor after my sister was diagnosed with leukemia at age 3. That's crazy, man. Yo, that's crazy. A parent should never have to go through that twice as well. 10 years earlier, they had to go to the hospital because his younger sister had leukemia, le- leukemia. Let's see if I'm pronouncing it right. Oh, double. For the ones that don't know what A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitan Rajim means, a seek refuge from the shaitan. Always gotta seek refuge from the shaitan, man. The devil. Le- is it leukemia. Yeah. What was I saying? Yeah, parents should never go through that, man. Twice, man. 10 years earlier, it was for his younger sister, and now for him. Bro, it's crazy. Her age, and she was 3 as well. I was 5 at the time, so he's 3 years older. Yeah, cause not 3, 2, bro. What am I on? 2. He's 2 years older than her, man. I was 5 at the time. My brother was just 6 months old. After 2.5 years of chemotherapy, treatments, spinal taps, and bone marrow pulses, my little sister finally walked out of the hospital happy, healthy, and cancer free. And now, after 10 years of normal life, my parents found themselves back in the same place with a different child. While I slipped into a coma, The hospital sent a priest and a social worker to comfort my parents. It was the same priest who had met with them a decade earlier. On the evening they found out my sister had cancer. They as they faded into night, a series of machines kept me alive. My parents slept restlessly. My parents slept restlessly on a hospital mattress. One moment they would collapse from fatigue, the next they would be wide awake with worry. My mother would tell me later, it was one of the worst nights I've ever had. I'm so surprised she said that, man. My parents should never go through that. Mm. My recovery. Yeah, I'm on the right page. Yeah, I'm on the right page. My recovery. Mercifully, by the next morning, my breathing had rebounded to the point where the doctors felt comfortable releasing me from the coma. When I finally regained consciousness, I discovered that I had lost my ability to smell. As a test, a nurse asked me to blow my nose and sniff an apple juice box. My sense of smell returned, but to everyone's surprise, the act of blowing my nose first forced air through the frac- fractures in my eye socket and pushed my left eye outward. My eyeball bulged out of the socket, held precociously, pre- precociously, yes, precariously, was held precariously in place by my eyelid and the optic nerve attaching my eye to my brain. The of the irreducible. Irreducible. Of, ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist. The ophthalmologist said my eye would gradually slide back into place as the air steeped out, but it was hard to tell how long this would take. I was scheduled for surgery 1 week later, which would which would allow me some additional time to heal. I looked like I had been on the wrong end of a boxing match, but I was cleared to leave the hospital. I returned home with a broken nose, half a dozen facial fractures, and a bulging left eye. The following months were hard. It felt like everything in my life was on pause. I had double vision for weeks. I literally couldn't see straight. It took more than a month, but my eyeball did eventually return to its normal location. Between the seizures and my vision problems, it was 8 months before I could drive a car again. At physical therapy, I practice basic motor patterns like walking in a straight line. I was determined not to let my injury get me down, but there were more than a few moments when I felt depressed and overwhelmed. When the, when you're feeling low, yeah, I know we all go like when you're feeling low. There's always hope, man. There's always hope because there's someone that's doing worse than you, and you always got God. You always got people that love you, man. So always look to and confide in them, man, and in God, man, because you're always doing better than someone else. That's how I look at things, man. Like when I'm feeling down on this and that, I got God, and I'm always doing better than someone else. Because someone might be laying in a hospital bed wishing that they're in my situation. Like, that's how I look at things, man. So always be grateful. I became painfully aware of how far I had to go when I returned to the baseball field 1 year later. Baseball had Baseball had always been a major part of my life. My dad had played minor league baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I had a dream of playing professionally too. After months of rehabilitation, what I wanted more than anything was to get back on the field. But return, but my return to baseball was not smooth. When the season rolled around, I was the only junior to be cut from the Versa- Versati Versati baseball team. I was sent down to play with the sophomores on junior varsity. Varsity. I had been playing since age 4, and for someone who had spent so much time and effort on the sport, getting caught was humiliating. I vividly remember the day it happened. I sat in my car and cried as I flipped through the radio desperately, searching for a song that would make me feel better. After a year of self-doubt, I managed to make the varsity team as a senior, but I rarely made it into the field. In total, I played 11 innings of high school varsity baseball, barely more than a single game. Despite my lackluster, lackluster high school career, I still believed I could become a great player, and I knew that if things were going to improve, I was the one responsible for making it happen. The turning point came 2 years after my injury when I began college at Distant University. It was a new beginning, and it was the place where I would discover the surprising power of small habits for the first time. Yeah, this is the part that I'm getting excited about, man. So you man, stay tuned. This is the important part, man. How I learned about habits. Attending Destin, Deanston, Deanston was one of the best decisions of my life. I earned a spot on the baseball team, and although I was at the bottom of the roster as a freshman, I was thrilled. Despite the chaos of my high school years, I had managed to become a college athlete. Look at that, man. Always looking at the positive. Even if you had a disastrous high school career and high school experience, he's looking at the positive. He made it to college, man. He made it to college. I wasn't going to be starting on the baseball team anytime soon, so I focused on getting my life in order. While my peers stayed up late and played video games, I built good sleeping habits and went to bed early each night. In the messy world of a college dorm, I made a point to keep to keep my room neat and tidy. These improvements were minor, but they were but they gave me a sense of control over my life. I started to feel confident again, and this growing belief in myself rippled into the classroom as I, I improved my study habits and managed to earn straight A's during my first year. A habit is a routine or behavior that is performed regularly and in many cases automatically. As each semester passed, I, I accumulated sm- small but consistent habits that ultimately led to results that were unimaginable to me when I started. For example, for the first time in my life, I made it a habit to lift weights multiple times per week, and in the years that followed, my 6 foot 4 inch frame bulked up from a featherweight 170 to a lean 200 pounds. When my sophomore season arrived, I I earned a starting role on the pitching staff. By my junior year, I was voted team captain, and at the end of the season, I was selected for the all-conference team. But it was not until my senior season that my sleep habits, study habits, and strength training habits really began to pay off. 6 years after I had been hit in the face with a baseball bat, flown to the hospital and placed into a coma. I was selected as the top male athlete at Deanston University, a name to the ESPN Academic All-American team, an honor given to just 33 players across the country. So 6 years later, so in 2008, what was it? By the time I graduated, I was listed in the school record books in 8 different categories. That same year, I was awarded the university's highest academic honor, the President's Medal. I hope you will forgive me if this sounds boastful. To be honest, there was nothing legendary or historic about my athletic career. I never ended up playing professionally. However, looking back on those years, I believe I accomplished something just as rare. I fulfilled my potential, and I believe the concepts in this book can help you fulfill your potential as well. We will we all face challenges in life. This injury was one of mine. Before I turn the page, that's what I'm saying. That's what I keep saying. Like, if I don't become a professional footballer, it's because something like injury or God took me into a different path. But as long as I fulfill my potential, I'm good because with this content, I see I'm going to a different path. Like, because right now I'm combining football with content. I just combine my lifestyle with content. But if I don't become a professional footballer, it's because God He put me into a different path. And if I fulfill my potential, I'll be alright. But one thing is, football will never leave my life. Whether it's professionally or just playing it semi-pro, it'll never like or just playing it with my boys. It'll never leave my life, man. Because football is it's literally therapy, man. It's my first love in it. The, this injury was one of mine, and the experience taught me a critical lesson. Changes that seem small and unimportant at first will compound into remarkable results if you are willing to stick with them for years. We all deal with setbacks, but in the long run, the quality of our lives often depend on the quality of our habits. With the same habits, you'll end up with the same results, but with better habits, anything is possible. That's the thing, man. That's why I have Three non-negotiables that I follow every day, because small habits lead to big changes. Small habit leads to big changes, man. Don't try to change straight away like big change. Just change gradually, small bits every day, and eventually you'll change. Your change will be so big that you'll be unrecognizable, not just to the world, but especially to yourself. So just build small habits, man. Maybe there are people who can achieve incredible success overnight. I don't know any of them, and I'm certainly not one of them. There wasn't one defining moment on my journey from medically induced a coma to academic All-American that there were many. It, wa- there wasn't one defining moment on my journey from medically induced a coma to academic All-American. There were many. So there were many moments. There wasn't just one moment that defined him. It's your journey. Like, there's gonna be many moments in your journey, man. Just enjoy the journey, man. You're gonna have setbacks and amazing moments. Just enjoy the ride, man. Like Kobe said, the dream is not the destination, but the journey. It was a gradual, gradual evolution, a long series of small wins and tiny breakouts. The only way I made progress, the only choice I had was to start small, and I employed this same stra- strategy, 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 wait, strategy, strategy, stra- strategy. I applied, I employed this same strategy a few years later when I started my own business and began working on this book. How and why I wrote this book. In November 2012, I began publishing articles at jamesclearpoint.com. For years, I had been keeping notes about my personal experiments with habits, and I was finally ready to share some of them publicly. I began by publishing a new article every Monday and Thursday. Within a few months, this simple writing habit led to my first 1,000 email subscribers, and by the end of 2013, that number had grown to more than 30,000 people. Look at that. It only took him 1 year. It only took him 1 year to go from zero to 1,000. He just had an idea and he put it out into the world, and look, whatever idea you have, just put it out into the world. Take that risk, man. What's the worst that can happen? Failure? Failure is part of the process. Remember that. So just take that risk, man. In 2014, my email list expanded to over 100,000 subscribers, which made it one of the fastest growing newsletters on the internet. I had felt like an imposter when I began writing 2 years earlier, but now I was becoming known as an expert on habit, a new label that excited me but also felt uncomfortable. I had never considered myself a master of the topic, but rather someone who was experimenting alongside my readers. That's the thing, man. When you start having so much success, you feel like an imposter. That's why it's so important. You do the mental work, man. Know who you are, so you know whatever is coming to you and it's coming to you, you deserve it. And as well, another thing is he was he was becoming excited but uncomfortable. But the thing is, you should sit in the uncomfortable, man. sitting there uncomfortable because that's where you want to be. That's how you will grow every day. Being comfortable in the uncomfortable. That's my saying. Wait, yes, yeah. We got two more pages. Two more pages. In 2015, I reached 200,000 email subscribers and signed a book deal with Penguin Random House to begin writing the book you are reading now. As my audience grew, so did my business opportunities. I was increasingly asked to speak at top companies about the science of habit formation, behavior change, and continuous improvement. I found myself delivering keynote speeches at conferences in the United States and Europe. Look at that, man. At the start, he wanted to become a professional athlete, but now look, he's delivering speeches in big companies, man. Like, like I said before, man, God will take you into a path that's better for you, man. Just because you think this is a better path for you, it may not be. God's God's path is the best. God's plan is the best, man. It's the best. By 2016, my articles began to appear regularly in major publications like Time, Entrepreneur, and Forbes. Incredibly, my writing was read by over 8 million people that year. Coaches in the NFL, NBA, and MLB began reading my work and sharing it with their teams. At the start of 2017, I launched the Habits Academy, which began the pre- which be, which became the premier training platform for organizations and individuals in interstates interstates in buildings but inter interstates wait wait or individual individuals interested in building better habits in life and work. So in 2017 he launched Habits Academy, which was a platform which became the training platform for organizations and the individuals interested in building better habits in life and work. Fortunate 500 companies and growing startups began to enroll their leaders and train the staff. In total, over 10,000 leaders, managers, coaches, and teachers have graduated aca- from the Habits Academy, and my work with them has taught me an incredible amount about what it takes to make habits work in the real world. As I put the finishing touch touches on this book in 2018, JamesClearPoint.com is receiving millions of visitors per month, and nearly 500,000 people subscribe to my weekly email newsletter. Half a million, yo. Deep that half a million. All it took is self-belief and just putting his idea out there, man. Look what he's doing, man. Like, have that belief, take that risk, man. Like, deep it, man. Because this year, you could make all your dreams come true, man. Just take that risk. A number that is so far beyond my expectations when I began that I'm not even sure what to think of it. how this book will benefit you. The entrepreneur and investor Neville Ravikant has said to write a great book, you must first become the book. I originally learned about the ideas mentioned here because I had to live them. I had to rely on them. On I had to rely on small habits to rebound from my injury, to get stronger in the gym, to perform at a high level on the field, to become a writer, to become a successful business, and simply to develop into a responsible adult. Small habits helped me fulfill my potential, and since you picked up this book, I'm guessing you'd like to fulfill yours as well. In the pages that follow, I will share a step by step plan for building better habits, not for days or weeks, but for a lifetime. While science supports everything I've written, this book is not an academic research paper, it's an operating manual. You'll find wisdom and practical advice front and center as I explain the science of how to create and change your habits in a way that is easy to understand and apply. The fields that I draw on biology, neuroscience, physiology, psychology, and more have been around for many years. What I offer you is a synthesis of the best ideas smart people figured out a long time ago, as well as the most compelling discoveries scientists have made recently. My contribution, I hope, is to find the ideas that matter most and connect them in a way that is highly actionable. And anything wise is this in these pages you could credit to the many experts who me preceded me. Wait, am I saying it right? Hmm. Preceded. Yeah, preceded me. Anything foolish, assume it's my error. The backbone of this book is my four-step model of habits. Cue, craving, response, and reward, and the four laws of behavior change. The evolution out of these steps that evolve out of these steps. Readers with a psychology background may recognize some of these terms from operant conditioning, which was first proposed as stimulus response reward by B.F. Skinner in the 1930s and has been popularized more recently as cue routine reward in the power of habits. In the Power of Habit by Charles Dugan. Behavioral scientists like Skinner realized that if you offered the right reward or punishment, you could get people to act in a certain way. But while Skinner's model did an excellent job of explaining how external stimuli influence our behaviors, our habits, it lacked a good explanation for how our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impact our behavior. Internal states, our moods, and emotions matter too. In recent decades, scientists have begun to determine the connection between our thoughts, feelings, and behavior. This research will also be covered in these pages. In total, the framework I offer is an intrigued model of the cognitive and behavioral sciences. I believe it. It's one of the first models of human behavior to accurately account for both the influence of external stimuli and internal emotions on our habits. While some of the language may be familiar, I'm confident that the details and the applications of the four laws of behavior change will offer a new way to think about your habits. Human behavior is always changing situation to situation, movement to movement, moment to moment, second to second. But this book is about what doesn't change. It's about the fundamentals of human behavior, the lasting principles, the lasting principles you can rely on year after year. The ideas you can build a business around, build a family around, build a life around. There's no right way to create better habits, but this book describes the best way I know, an approach that will be effective regardless of where you start or where you are trying to change or what you are trying to change. The strategies I cover will be relevant to anyone looking for a step-by-step system for improvement, whether your goals center on health, money, productivity, relationships, or all above. As long as human behavior is involved, this book will be your guide. Yeah, tomorrow we'll continue. So we're on the fundamentals now. But what's this for here? But while Skinner's model did an excellent job of explaining how external stimuli influence our behavior, our habits, it lacked a good explanation for how our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impact our behavior. Mm. So this book explains that. So that book back in the 1930s, The Power of Habit, it explains how external stimuli impacts our habits, but it didn't explain how internal stimuli impacted our internal habit. No, what? How? It didn't. It lacked a good explanation for how our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impact our behavior. So the book, The Power of Habit, ex- explained how intern external habits external habits. Wait, come on, man, come on. But while Skinner's model did an excellent job of explaining how external stimuli influence our habits, or the power of habit back in 1930s explained how external stimuli impacted our habits. It didn't explain how internal behaviors impacted our thoughts, how impacted our behavior. It didn't have an explanation on how it impacted our internal thoughts, behavior. Like so, let me get this right. So, the power of habit back in the 1930s explains how external habits, how external things impacted our habits, but it didn't have an explanation for how internal, how our internal thoughts, our internal behaviors impacted our behavior. Internal things of behavior, so mood impacted our behavior. So that's our thoughts, feelings, and beliefs impacted our behavior. Hopefully, you man got this. But before I end this, I gotta say, this is how I started my content career, man, by reading. And even though I've been seeing growth, like internally, I just been a bit down, man. So I'm going back to the basics, reading as well. I haven't been reading for a while. I'm getting back to reading, and it's been good doing this again, especially in front of you, man. But that book is about building small habits, man. Build small habits wherever you are from. Even if you're thriving in life, small habits. You're really low, small habits, man. Especially then, you need small habits, man. Because small habits will get you out of bed, excited for something. Like, and God, have God. I always say it, and I'll never stop saying it, man. I'll never stop promoting my religion, man. Islam, it really saved me, man. Allah really saved me. The Almighty really saved me. These habits are all good, but if you don't have God, you have nothing, man. Even if your life will change, you'll still have that missing piece because God is the center of everything. So if you have God, you have everything. So imagine if you implement them productive small habits into your life. So it'll be amazing. So do me a favor, don't say, oh, no, I didn't have time. Right now, after you finish watching the video, of course, write 3 habits you're gonna do. Whether you're in the morning, you're watching in the morning, or you're watching it at night. So write 3 habits that you're gonna do next morning. In the next morning. And when you do them, come back to this video and drop a comment. It's been a minute. It's been a minute, but I enjoyed it, man. I'll catch you, man, tomorrow.